It's not just a revised version of Astral Dynamics. I completely rewrote it, and it is the book Astral Dynamics, you could say, should have been in 1999 when I first wrote it. I've added a lot more content, cut it down a lot, and my explanations in there are much clearer because I have a lot more experience to back it, a lot of more experience as a writer in explaining it. So everything's a lot clearer. One example, I posted a piece on my blog, which is blog.astraldynamics.com a couple of days ago, about the nature of astral projection, and particularly the question, the ongoing debate about whether astral projections and lucid dreams occur as an internal mental process in the mind, or as an external mental process outside the mind and the body. And that first begs the question of what is the human mind? Now, because if you're going to leave it, you have to know what it is and where it is. Now, you cannot take your finger and point to where your mind is. You just can't do it. I mean, it is scientifically known the mind and the memories are not contained within the substance of the brain. They're just not there. You can remove, for example, 50% of the human brain in an operation called a hemispherectomy, which is often done for chronic epilepsy and other things. And you will not lose any memories. Doesn't matter which side you remove. And if you have this operation before you finish passing through puberty around about 20-ish, you will recover completely with maybe a slight limp.
Wow.
But you won't lose any memories. And there's been scientific experiments done with lab rats and that, where they've trained 100 lab rats and then removed a little piece of each of their brains. And over 100 lab rats, they've removed the entire brain. But all of the lab rats remember the task that they learned before the operation. That study was published in the Lancet in the mid-90s. So there's a lot of evidence to show that they don't know where the memories are stored in the brain. They do not appear to be stored in the substance. But now, with the mind, I mean, the mind is, at the very least, contained within your entire body. As a lot of body workers will know, when you're working on a person's body, by touching them in particular parts of their body, and you will develop an intuitive sense of what this is. It may be an acupuncture needle, it may be massage movement, it may be anything. You touch a person in a certain part of their body, and it could be on the lower side or the lower back. You would trigger emotional releases in people. You would trigger suppressed memories. All kinds of things would be triggered by touching people in certain ways. And my work on the core imager work, which I deal with in practical psychic self-defense, also supports that memories are stored in physical locations in the flesh of the human body, not necessarily in the brain. So you put all this together. Now, the mind appears to be a field of energy surrounding the body and permeating the body. Now, most of our memories appear to be stored in the substance of the physical body. But the mind as a field extends out like any energy being broadcast around the body, and is broadcast out for a considerable distance. I mean, I think they have detected the electromagnetic activity of the heart, for example, at 50 yards distance with sophisticated technology. And as an energy, it will extend out like a torch. It will dissipate, but it doesn't entirely stop. If you put if you turn on a flashlight and you point it up into space at night, that flashlight beam will go on forever. It will dissipate, but it will never actually stop. Now, it appears to be that the human mind is a field of energy that extends out at great distances and possibly even permeating the entire universe on different levels. And so if you take this to account, that we're a field of energy broadcasting out at vast distances, this makes a bit of sense out of experiments in telepathy and experience in empirical knowledge in telepathy, precognition, remote viewing, and various things like that. There's been a lot of work done studying those things, and distance does not appear to be a factor in those things. I mean, you will often get intuitive, psychic impressions about things happening to people you're connected with the other side of the planet. And so what I'm building up here is, if mind is a field, and all minds are fields of energy broadcasting out, then we are all connected on a mind level. We're all intermeshed, like different frequencies of radio and television broadcasts, all occupying the same space. So as you have a very large field around you, let's say at the very least occupying the planet and the solar system, when you are leaving your body in an astral projection or lucid dream or precognitive dream, you are not actually leaving your mind. You are moving your point of conscious awareness within your own mental field. So you're not actually separating from it. You're just shifting around within your own field of consciousness, which extends out to great distances.
That's fascinating. Yeah,
it's a fascinating thing. The blog article is 600 words. It's worth reading. I've laid it out fairly succinctly, and this is a section of my new book, Astral Dynamics, coming out in fall, where in this version of the book I go a lot more into working with the higher self and connecting with the higher self as it relates to astral projection, lucid dreaming, than I did before. And which is very exciting work. I mean, with your higher self, when you're talking about your higher self, I'm talking about source energy. I'm talking about the collective consciousness. I'm talking about the inner daemon, the monad. You might call this God or source. Your higher self is within you, is within everybody. The great observer within you. And the great observer within all of us sits back and observes our life in minute detail. And it normally won't make its presence known unless it's actively sought, which is a part of doing a regular spiritual practice, of course. As I mentioned earlier, it's a part of getting in touch with that divine aspect of you. But with your higher self, it is within you and a part of you. But you can't take your finger and point to where source is. You can't point to where your higher self is, where source is. And you also cannot take your finger and point to where it's not, which is an important point. Because if you can't point to where it is not, then that means it is absolutely inside of you, inside of everything around you, and every person around you, and every animal around you. It is everywhere. It's global, universal. You can't leave it. It relates to the field of mind, which is an example at a different level. We extend out. Now, as we are, you are your higher self. You are enmeshed intimately with your higher self, which spans the universe. And when you start pushing yourself out like this to think about these things, you start to understand how the law of attraction works for manifestation in the secret. You start to understand how that works. Because if you are connected with everything, then your mind and your intentions and your needs are also expressed and spread out at vast distances throughout the universe, interacting with everybody else's point of consciousness and thoughts.